Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inside Track, Equibase's weekly handicapping podcast, where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. I'm your host, Ben Kudla, and today I'm joined by Alexa Zepp, professional handicapper, product manager, thoroughbred owner, who got her start 8 years ago through handicapping and tournament play. She's a very consistent competitor in contests like NHC and BCBC, and currently works full-time in daily racing form, where she serves as both a product manager and on-air racing analyst in English and Spanish. Kudos. I absolutely love that, by the way. Alexa also owns and manages Haphazard Racing, serves on the executive committee of the Horse Racing Women's Association, helping lead efforts to support and connect women in the sport. Alexa, fourth time's a charm, right? I think this is our fourth show of 2025 already, following, that ABR Live Pegasus show and the Big Cap Day at Santa Anita Live at NHC, and now you're making your debut on the Inside Track. So I just think you're a wonderful handicapper. I'm very excited to see you picked in these big races this weekend.
Thanks for having me. Always fun to talk races with you, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get to these races, I'm very excited to announce we have a very special guest joining us on the show. So let's give a very warm welcome to 2025 National Handicapping Champion winner Dan Piazza. Yeah, to discuss his strategy and thoughts throughout NHC 2025, how he became involved in tournament play, as well as a look into how he used Race Lens and DRF to take home $825,000 in cash. So thank you so much for being on, Dan.
Thank you very much for having me on this afternoon.
Well, first off, congrats on, winning the NHC. That's just top level. Take us back to a couple weeks ago in Vegas. What was that moment like when you finally realized you won?
Shock, very much amazement, very, very happy. It was, but sort of an unbelievable moment there when it really set in, and I said that I'd won the NHC.
Man, I was actually just a couple feet away from you, filming you to put on our Equibase socials, and as soon as that race ended, you just had this and then your buddy came and hugged you, and you went crazy. It was such a cool moment. That was really cool. And heading into day one of NHC, did you really have a game plan on which 36 races you wanted to play over the course of day one and day two, or were you kind of adjusting as the races unfolded?
No. I had a strategy coming in. First was to focus on the mandatory races. Make sure I cashed on those. Don't be looking for big long shots or anything, so that that's not where it's going to make a difference. And the optionals where I focused were tracks that I focus on and play at every day. I didn't try to go anywhere that I was uncomfortable, didn't know the connections, was not familiar with the track or the horses. And so that was my strategy day one. Just cash on all the mandatory races and play the tracks that I'm comfortable with.
Very good, very good. So, you went gate to wire in NHC. What was that feeling like coming in on day two and day three in the ballroom of Horseshoe Casino, seeing your name up at the top?
Day two, my biggest fear, having attended the NHC in past years, is watch that day one leader throw up 20 goose eggs on the second day, and you sort of sit there. You're still in the top 80, but you didn't make a move, and your picking just didn't work out for you that day. So that was my biggest fear. And then when we started to hit the mandatory races, when I started to hit those on the beginning of the second day, I started to feel comfortable. And again, I just my handicapping and my picks were done. I did my homework the nights before and the weeks before, so that I came in and if there were any odd triggers on any horses that I was looking at, I had a backup and a B backup. I had two backups there that I was going to go to, so I really didn't have to handicap at the table.
Well, your strategy really worked out with those mandatory. You hit all but one. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Really?
Yeah, I was very lucky there.
You hit a winner in every one but one, or you
hit a winner or a place bet. I think I had 3 of the races that were just place bets, but cashed
still,
on.
what was it, 7 mandatory on Friday and 8 on Saturday or something like that?
That's correct. And then you got 10 on Sunday morning that are all the optionals, and then 7 or 8 at the final table in the afternoon.
Well, yeah, you really were just kind of inching up the leaderboard the whole time. Obviously you had some big hits, but we kept seeing you just go up by another $8, $10, $15. So I mean, it's a strategy that worked out that I don't think a lot of people have going into the NHC. The mandatories, I think a lot of people think you have to swing for the fences in case that long shot comes in.
Yeah, a lot of the players and participants definitely utilize that type of a strategy playing in that tournament.
Yeah. Well,
I even heard
that's not my jam.
It makes sense though, because I've always really thought that in a tournament, uniqueness is one of the most valuable factors because again, if everybody is a 20-1, you don't pass. So it is probably the most unique pick in a mandatory playing at 2 or 3-1. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
Well, you know, Race Lens and DRF you use quite a bit to take home that championship. You know, tell us how you use that product during NHC with those two products. Is that something you recommend for tournament play? Are you putting in angles before? Are you doing all that research before? Or is it kind of on the fly to use those tools?
With those tools, I mean, everybody's going to probably need something that gives them an idea what the pace of the race or how the race is going to set up or what the race is going to look like. So Race Lens is that tool for me. Plus, it allows me to search the Equibase database of all of their horse statistics if I want to go back and look at, okay, how is this horse performed in this situation and past situations, or how is its siblings? How is the sire or the dam performed in these conditions? So it can help us a little bit there, but mostly the Race Lens is used for, you know, helping me predict what the race is going to look like and who's going to be on the front end. And then I can dig in a little bit more with Thorough Manager is a tool that we use with Crownsway Racing. That's our LLC that we buy horses with, and we use that tool a lot when we're looking at horses, when we're especially going down to the sale and trying to figure out, okay, where are these horses coming from and what should we be looking at to purchase this year? And then I read a lot of DRF. I mean, it's just sort of something I do every day coming in. I always like to read the track handicappers because Mike Walsh at Gulfstream is always an excellent, advisor for me, at least. That's how I look at him when I'm looking at Gulfstream and playing that day. He's going to be within my thoughts and my picks. And so the three of them then give me that, list of two horses that I'm going to go to the track with and say, okay, for this race, this is my A, this is my B.
I love it. I love it. And of course, you can find all those products, DRF and Equibase products, on equibase.com. One final question. What's one piece of advice you give to horse players who want to take their game to the next level and start playing in tournaments? And personally, when was your first tournament?
My first tournament was 5 years ago. And
so you're pretty new at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty new at it. I mean, I was always a guy that went to the tracks and I'm playing pick fives on the weekend and, just betting with my buddies and following the different stakes races. And then I got bit by the contest bug. And I think anybody that's out there that hasn't not tried playing contest, give it a swing because it's a lot of fun. It also helps manage your bankroll. You get to play and participate and have a lot of fun with a lot of races. And you maybe won't lose as much as you would on a day that you go to the track and you're not picking very well.
That's a fantastic point. I honestly didn't even think of that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I've got a question for you, Dan, because I know that the winner of the NHC gets an NHC seat into the following year. I also know that Race Lens had this thing, the highest placing person with an active Race Lens subscription also got an NHC seat. But I also know in a lot of in most tournaments, if you have two entries and they both would have gotten a seat, you can only get one seat in a tournament at a time. So did you get double qualified with being the winner and Race Lens, or did you only pick up one 2026 NHC seat there?
I only picked up one 2026 NHC seat. Yeah,
in our role, we went to the next highest Race Lens user. I'm forgetting his name.
He was in the top 10.
He was, yeah. He finished 8th or 9th.
Yeah,
I think he finished 11th. Yeah, he was the next highest. But Race Lens did give me a full free 1-year subscription.
Nice.
All right, we love to hear it. Well, Dan, thank you. Thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate this, and thank you for your continued support of Race Lens. And I'm so excited to see you next year out in Vegas.
Thank you very much. I'll be glad to see all of you there.
All right, we'll see you, Dan.
He's, a huge like contributor to the TAA, and I know we talked about that a lot. Like karma,
right? Yeah,
karma is a karmic action. There.
He had the racing gods on his side out in Vegas.
So
he's just the nicest guy. Oh my goodness.
He's one that you rooted for all weekend because I had never met him before I interviewed him that weekend, but just them. So happy for him.
Well, there was tons of great racing last couple weeks, but now we got a ginormous weekend of racing coming up in North America on Saturday. 10 stakes races on the card at Gulfstream Park, with 5 of those being graded. 6 stake races at Oaklawn, with 3 of those being graded, as well as a couple graded stakes at Santa Anita. But today's show, Alexa and I will be giving our picks for 4 100-point races on the road to the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby. Got the Grade 1 Florida Derby and the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, along with the Grade 2 Fantasy Stakes and the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks. And I think we should start with a heavy hitter here, the Grade 1 $1.5 million Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn Park. 100 points to the winner for the Kentucky Derby. Mile and 1/8 on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Last year's winner was Muth for trainer Bob Baffert, with Juan Hernandez Jr. aboard. 2024 Kentucky Derby winner Mystic Dan finished 3rd in last year's Arkansas Derby. And since 1991, just 2 horses have won both the Arkansas Derby and the Kentucky Derby, those being Smarty Jones, 2004, and Triple Crown winner American Pharoah in 2015. Talented field of 9 in this year's Arkansas Derby. Alexa, who are you going with as your top play?
Well, you mentioned something there. Like, both of these races at Oaklawn are really good predictors for the Derby and Oaks, right? Because Mystic Dan got 3rd, and then Torpedo Ann actually won. So this, Oaklawn kind of path to the Derby is becoming really, really strong. So who's my topic in here? So I am using Coal Battle as my top
pick. Look at that. We didn't even talk before this.
Your top pick too, I guess. I think I might have seen that on Instagram, or I think you posted something about Coal Battle.
Oh, that was one of the coolest pictures. It was Renee Torbett from Cody. TDN posted it last night, and it's Lonnie Briley, and he's kissing Coal Battle on the nose, and he's got his ears up, and it was just, oh man, yeah, it was cool. But anyway, continue.
I love Coal Battle has done nothing wrong. 4 straight wins, including most recent in the Rebel, where 4 other common opponents ran in here. He just always rises to the occasion. I love that he comes from smaller connections, got kind of a following behind him, a lot of people rooting for him, but he's never lost on the dirt. And I think when a horse has never done anything wrong and beaten half of this field and has incredible heart, you just have to play him. And I don't love the favorite in here, the morning line favorite. I don't know if it'll actually be the favorite, but the Cornucopia and the 9 coming in for Baffert and SF Racing. So you have like these 2 opposing forces, right? Like these giant trainer ownership group, and then the small guy with Coal Battle. And that's just kind of like a fun.
It does. It makes it so much fun. You're just so into it. You're just.
But like Cornucopia, they spent over $1 million on, as a yearling. So that's hard to ignore. Only been out once, and wired the field with a crazy speed figure. But again, a fairly unproven favorite without only 1 start. And what kind of put me off was the shipping back to California and then shipping back to Arkansas, because it didn't seem to me like this was the real intention. Like, I think if this was the goal and the plan all along, that they would have just kept him there. So I don't know. I think that's a lot on a horse too, all that moving around and that shipping.
You're right.
And I just think it's competitive and there's better value in here. So Coal Battle's morning line is 3.5 to 1, which is still pretty decent. I don't know. I think he might take money, but I like Coal Battle. And then do you want more? You want more? You asked for my top.
I can back you up. I can back you up on Coal Battle with some running lines. Just first off, how cool is it that Lonnie Briley got his very first graded stakes victory with this horse in the Grade 2 Rebel? 34 years of training race horses. Got his first one with this horse. Juan Vargas, a regular Delta Downs Louisiana circuit rider, had his first graded stake win in nearly 11 years. And I'm going to just bring it up today because it is opening day for MLB. And everyone says, how can you be romantic about baseball? Well, here's a story. How could you not be romantic about horse racing. I mean, this is just, I love this story. I mean, coming off those 4 straight stake wins, like you said, won the Jean Lafitte at Delta Downs in November, won the Remington Springboard Mile Stakes over Speed King, came back to win the Grade 3 Southwest Stakes last time out, won the Smarty Jones Stakes by 4 lengths, going a mile and 16th on the dirt over Kale's Angel, came back to win consecutive stakes races, and then won the Grade 2 Rebel over Medicat Road, and Sandman, who was the 6th in here, and then Tistastic finished 5th in the Rebel, and as we saw last weekend, he won the Grade 2 Louisiana Derby next time out. So being a front runner, I'm actually really surprised at how good his late pace rating is. Ranked 2nd in this race with a 108. And horses for courses, 2 for 2 at Oaklawn. Undefeated on dirt from 5 starts, with his only 2 losses being on the turf. I think this horse is just the real deal. 7 to 2. I'm all in. 50 across the board is Benny's play on that one. I'm all in.
I like him to win. I also like Sandman in here a lot too. You mentioned the 6 horse. So I think you have to look back. If you haven't seen his run in the Southwest, go watch it, because he basically went to his knees at the break and was like, so I was actually watching that race with one of the owners, Griffin Johnson.
We were together.
On air at Preakness. And it was like kind of scary, because you're always hoping when you're watching a race live on air on TV, like at least that one, your picks are right, but more importantly that like the horses are safe. And then he almost goes to his knees, and I don't know about you, my heart dropped. And then he ends up closing like a monster and getting
my goodness,
I mean, I think the grit that we saw in that race is something not to be discounted. And I think if a closer wins this race, I think it's Sandman.
Okay. You know, I definitely agree with that. And the jockey change to Jose Ortiz, I think, is definitely a positive for him. But yeah, we were watching with Terry Feely, as soon as he jumped out or stumbled out of the gate, it's like, oh man, you know, and then all of a sudden he's coming, and him and Griffin are like, let's go, you know. So it was just so exciting. You know?
It was awesome. So that was cool. The horse that beat him that day was Speed King, which is another one in here that I do like. Like, those are my top 3: Cold Battle, Salmon, and Speed King. I think, you know, Speed King that day just kind of got out and got loose on the lead. But he's coming in here, I think, refreshed. He's got some bullet works, drew a nice position, does have some like competition on the speed from the outside a little bit. But I think at 15 to 1 are really long odds on Speed King. So
I agree. I thought that was a little bit long on him for sure. Because if you just throw out the Rebel, you know, horses have a bad race, whatever. Maybe he's out of his tub. Who knows? You know, he looks pretty competitive.
Have like a super ideal trip in the Rebel. You know, he didn't get to the front running position that he wants. So I think it's not great, right, when a horse has to get their way in order to win, but a lot of horses do. So, yeah, I don't know. That can add some value in like your exotic plays, I think, because obviously Sandman and Cold Battle aren't going to be huge prices. But if you're a big exactor trifecta player, I would throw Speed King in there too.
I love it. Well, let's move on to the Oaks version. The Grade 2 $750,000 fantasy stakes at Oaklawn, 100-point Kentucky Oaks prep, a mile and the 16th on the dirt for 3-year-old fillies. Last year's winner was the queen herself, Torpedo Anna, for trainer Kenny McPeak, with Brian Hernandez Jr. aboard. And as we all know, the Grizzly went on to win the Kentucky Oaks and, of course, was your 2024 Horse of the Year. Since 1991, there have been 5 fillies who have won both the Fantasy Stakes and Kentucky Oaks. 2024, Torpedo Anna. 2010, Blind Luck. 2009, Rachel Alexandra. 1997, Blushing KD. In 1991, Light. So field of 10 could be an epic showdown between 2 talented fillies, or maybe a long shot could squeak by. But here you go in here with the fantasy.
Doing kind of a similar thing that I did with the Derby, where I'm fading the morning line favorite, but my top selection is the second favorite. I'm fading Simply Joking, the 7. And I like Quiet Side, but I just think that Simply Joking, I don't know. I don't really like, okay, yes, she won over Bless the Broken, who just came back to win the Bourbonnette Oaks, but I don't think that was necessarily like a super strong race. That doesn't move the needle like a whole lot for me. she's a cheap horse in the sense that she's sold for like less than her stud fee and is coming off of a layoff. So I think there's like definitely ways to look at her and say she's a weak favorite. The biggest plus for her in here would be being kind of lone speed. But I'm trying to beat her with Quiet Side, who I think is a current Oaks leaderboard leader, right? With I think 68 points.
Good cheer is.
Oh, Good Cheers. You're right. Duh.
Yeah, undefeated.
Is Quiet Side second?
I believe so. Quiet Side is second.
Yeah, she won the Honeybee lifetime best performance and has never been off the board in 6 starts, over $500,000 in earnings. She's been training really well at Oaklawn and at this distance and track. So I think this is just like a really comfortable spot for her. But again, not a ton of value, but I think you can add some value with the one Take Charge Milady and the 9, actually, Princess Aaliyah at 12-1, who broke her maiden last out. A little bit of moisture in the dirt. Ben, do you know what the forecast is for? I haven't looked.
I believe it's supposed to be a lovely day. If I could.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
okay.
So I think you are all right.
Moisture in the track, then like she liked that last time. But she's just improving every start, and it's a big step up. But I could see her making an impact here at long odds.
No, it reminds me a lot of my boy American Promise, a couple weeks ago in the Virginia Derby. These D-Wayne Lucas, Nick Juarez aboard. So I like it. 12-1 morning line.
That bet. Was that at NHC?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I remember.
Yeah, that was my one play of the week. But
yeah,
I do like Simply Joking as my top play for sure. I agree with you, but a little bit of a weak favorite. And actually, I'm
fading Simply Joking. You're playing it? That's your top?
I think I'm gonna do that as my top.
Okay.
But I want to go back to Simply Joking. I do want to talk about this 10, Running and Gunning. I'm just very intrigued by this horse. I don't know why. Just a gun runner filly for Steve Asmussen with Pratt aboard. Yeah, that's probably why. Anything with Pratt. I mean, that's just huge. Coming off back-to-back impressive performances, running a 77 Equibase speed figure in both those races. Won an allowance at Sam Houston in January by 4.5 with veteran Stewie Elliott aboard. And then last time out, she won the $250,000 Sunland Park Oaks by 4 3/4 lengths. Kind of interesting. Maysam finished 6th in that Sunland Park Oaks to Running and Gunning and came back to win that Grade 3 Santa Isabel Stakes at Santa Anita. This dam too, interesting. Don't hate me on the small little pools, but the dam Charity Bell, who's by Empire Makers, had 5 foals to race. This is her first foal to ever even have a start on the dirt. So kind of odd. I mean, she's 3 for 6 in dirt routes already. Kind of interesting. Flavian Pratt's winning at 25% in graded stakes races the past year, 48 wins at 100 from 193 starts, 56% in the money. And actually a positive 3% ROI, oddly enough. So I don't know, at 20-1, that's just
never gonna take you off at 20-1. I'm never gonna take anybody off a horse ever because I personally don't want that responsibility on my conscience. But I mean, the horse has been winning, so on a roll. I
not the fastest in the world for sure, but
that's where I'm like, she's just not fast enough. Like if I'm looking at her buyers, I mean, she's got to jump like 30 points, at least 25 or 30 points, which is fairly unheard of without some kind of big change, whether that's distance, equipment, trainer, something.
Right.
But you know what? At 20-1, if you have an inkling, go for it. Put some money on it. Why not?
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know. I mean, Simply Joking, D-Wort with Beckman's also 0 for 5 over 61-day layoff for a graded stake. John Ortiz is winning at just 6% this Oaklawn meet. Yeah. There's some things that could leave this door open. You know what? Actually, my top play is gonna be Running and Gunning. I'm going for it. 20-1.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm gonna take it. Sometimes you just gotta, go for the marbles. So
absolutely. You know what? If it loses, no one's gonna judge you because it's a 20-1 and you're standing on it. So I'm here for it.
Right. But Quiet Side does seem to be the most consistent as well. Yeah. But
I think Quiet Side's consistent. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think if you're looking for a medium shot, the Take Charge Milady, the number 1, also makes a lot of sense. Had a really disappointing effort last out in the Honeybee, but was in traffic and was just so much further back than she likes to be off the bat, sitting in last place, like 12 lengths off the lead. gets a new jockey. Brian Hernandez is taking the mount. So I think if you forgive that last effort, she's got 2 wins this year over the Oaklawn track with improving form, and a morning line of 6-1. So I think there's some value there too.
Well, she regressed from a 92 to a 47. So obviously she has the talent,
Well,
something.
yeah, I mean, it's just like
fire that race,
throw that race out. Throw
Right.
that out.
Right.
It wasn't her day.
All right, so I'm going running, gunning, and who are you going with? Top
My
play?
top pick is I am Quiet Side over Take Charge Milady and Princess Aaliyah. So I'm 519.
Love it, love it. All right, well, let's move down to sunny South Florida, where I'll be for a couple weeks for my bachelor trip. Yeah.
That should be fun. We have an event there actually tomorrow. When does this air?
Tonight I'll probably post it. I got to edit it, and we'll see.
Yeah. So tomorrow, Friday the 28th, is our first event of the year for the Horse Racing Women's Association.
Very good.
So if you're interested in getting involved, as a woman or a man, we like to support everybody, but we're really about engaging and elevating, investing in women in the sport. So we have 4 events on the docket this year. I don't think I can announce them all yet, but the first one is tomorrow at Gulfstream, on the eve of the Florida Derby. I think we've got 3 amazing speakers that are going to be there. So if you see this and you happen to be there, at least I think tickets have closed, but go in and pop in and say hi and meet all the women, because it's a cool group.
Well, the link for that will be in the video description down below. I will definitely add that in there. That's very cool. That kicks off tomorrow.
Yeah.
But anyway, I this is one of my favorite races of the year. I mean, just the historic horses who have won this race in the past. It just blows my mind. But here we go. The Grade 1 million Florida Derby at Gulfstream Park. 100-point Kentucky Derby prep, 1 mile and 1/8 on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Last year's winner was Fierceness for trainer Todd Pletcher with Johnny V aboard. Fierceness went on to run 15th in the Kentucky Derby, but came back to win the Grade 2 Jim Dandy as well as the Grade 1 Travers Stakes over Horse of the Year, Torpedo Anna. Mike Rapoli, Todd Pletcher have won this race the last 2 years in a row. 2023, they won the Florida Derby with Forte, of course, and Rapoli and Pletcher team up again with a $1.15 million yearling purchase, number 4 Disruptor. But Pletcher, he's the king of the Florida Derby. He's won the Florida Derby 7 out of the last 11 years. So that's pretty wild. It's some California Bob Baffert.
Rename this race after him. This is going to be the Pletcher Derby pretty soon.
But since 1991, there have been 7 Florida Derby winners who went on to win the Kentucky Derby. 2017, Always Dreaming. 2016, Nyquist. 2013, Orb. 2008, the lovely Big Brown. 2006, the beloved Barbaro. 2001, Monarchos. And 1995 was Thunder Gulch. So who you got, Alexa?
Okay, well, if the winningest trainer stat wasn't enough for you, which it's not enough for me, I don't bet just on that. My top pick is the number 4 Disruptor.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you have those major connections. Like you said, they purchased for $1,150,000 as a yearling. But it's wild. But now been out twice, won the most recent with a really fast buyer figure, 92. That's lifetime best in the field other than Sovereignty, and with the least experience in the field. So adding some distance, but considering 1 by 9 lengths last out, I think clearly once more. I just really like Disruptor in here, and I like the morning line odds at 4-1. I think that's really fair.
Okay, I handicapped this race without odds. Can you tell me what's Madacat Road at?
Yes, Madacat Road is 7-2.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'll take that. That.
That's your top pick?
Yeah, that's mine. Anyway, I do want to talk about your Disruptor a little more. Okay, I went back and watched the last replay because I was like, gosh, this horse has to be amazing. 1.15 million. Rapoli has to get partners to get him. So it must be really special. But if you watch that last race, like he just had such a hard time changing leads outside of that turn. Once he finally did, rocketed it off, drew off by 9 and 1/4 lengths, but just still very young. Going to have to go around 2 turns for the first time. I think that's a big deal with these 3-year-olds. But I read Ortiz. I mean, I think he probably had a pick of the lot in this race, and he chose Disruptor, which is huge as well. So I'm not going to knock you there. And 99, breaking his maiden. But I'm actually going to go with the 8 here, Madacat Road. the 3-year-old colt by Quality Road for the Bob Baffert barn. Baffert does not really come to Gulfstream Park too often, so this is pretty unusual move. On the last 3 years, he only has 3 starts with a win and a second and a fourth, so he doesn't do bad when he comes. I think since 2003, he has 10 all-time starts. But as you may know, Tyler Gaffalione suffered a broken ankle yesterday, Wednesday, at Gulfstream Park. Will be off Matticat Road. But Hall of Famer Mike Smith is taking off his scheduled mounts at Santa Anita to fly to South Florida just for this ride. So as of now, I do not know if he has picked up any other more mounts at Gulfstream or if he's just going here for Matticat Road. But regardless, is that it? Okay, so that's even bigger. I mean, for a guy like that, Hall of Famer, to fly all the way there just for one horse, that's a pretty good sign in my eyes. In the past 5 years, Baffert and Smith went at 27% in graded stakes races together, 63% in the money, 13 wins from 48 starts. And kind of interesting, this horse is inching further and further east with every start, coming off a hard-fought second-place finish in that Grade 2 Rebel to the mighty Coal Battle. And if I'm given that much credit to Coal Battle, it's only logical to think the same of Matticat Road, especially after he set the pace at 45.7 for the half and a mile in the 16th race and hung on very well at the rail and finished well too. To give you an idea, here's some stat lines you can find on equibase.com. For the past 60 days across all tracks in North America, that half mile that Matticat Road set is the second fastest half mile of any dirt route runner-up that is yet to run back. So some stat lines on equibase.com. He earned a 102 ESF for that effort, ranked first in early and middle pace, ranked first in average class, ranked first in average speed, and ranked second in late pace rating with a 102. So geez, that's pretty impressive.
I see what you're saying. I've included him in my top 4. He's my 4th selection in here. And I think the best upside for him, I think, they're taking blinkers off. So I think
interesting, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting shift in tactic, but I wouldn't be surprised because I think Neo Equos and Disruptor probably are going to want the lead. And so I think Matticat Road could sit off and kind of comfortably behind the pace and take over after they tire. Like that, to me, seems like probably a good approach to take because we've seen him do that before. I mean, we've seen him kind of be on the lead and fade, but the race he did win was coming from sitting a couple lengths off the pace. So I'm curious with this blinker off move because he's had him on 3 out of his 4.
Okay, well, I did decide to do some research on that. All right, so in the past 5 years, I went back all the 5 years, Bob Baffert wins at 31% and 69% in the money with horses in graded stakes races switching to off blinkers. 9 wins from 29 starts and 20 in the money. So those are the numbers on it. I mean, Locke did it, on our when we were on the podcast together. We were saying, why is he going? Or no, he went blinkers on. Am I remembering that correct?
Yeah.
You went blinkers off. Okay, so a little bit different, but it's unusual these graded stakes races that these trainers mess with the blinkers.
This makes more sense. I think this makes even more sense than that though, because he hasn't been winning. It's when you see the change when the horse is winning. When I'm always kind of like, do you want to shift it up when they're doing well? But you just have to put faith that the trainers know best. So I do see what you're saying, Matticat Road. I actually like Tappan Street in here too, though. The number 9.
That's who Ellis loves, by the way. He loves.
Okay, cool. Love Ellis. This horse, I think, has a huge pace advantage in here. I think probably best closer in the race, and this race does, like I was saying, have a lot of pace in it. So, and
he's been working out like a monster as well.
Yeah, he's working out super well. He's refreshed, because he got second in the Grade 3 Holy Bull in February and has had time off and is now just really, I think, refreshed and working out well and has the pace advantage in here. I don't know if I said that already.
I had some technical difficulties.
We had a little bit of internet difficulty, but that's okay. But yeah, from a pace standpoint, he has a big advantage being a closer in this race who can sit not so far off the pace and then make a late run. So top of the street at 5-1 makes a lot of sense.
I love Tappan Street in the Holy Bowl. That was my pick actually on the podcast. Just got passed at the end, but
Yeah.
Burnham Square next time out was really disappointing. So that was kind of a little bit of a turn off on this horse, but I know what you're saying. I mean, I think he won't make that same mistake again. 5-1's a pretty good morning line, but Sovereignty, geez, I mean, talk about a perfect progression for this race. I looked it up. Since 1991, 16 Florida Derby winners came out of the Fountain of Youth Stakes, whether they won it or even just ran in it. So obviously that's where he's coming off a win from. But I do not like Junior Alvarado going off. That's brand new for this horse. I'm going to assume that all the workouts in the morning have been with Junior as well, since they've been at Payson. So it's going to be brand new. And Franco and Bill Mott don't have a whole lot of experience together. So
it's true. They really don't have much experience. I'm looking at the stats right now. There's not much going on there. Four starts.
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah,
I mean, like, I wonder, do you think they just ran out of jockeys?
I mean, honestly, it's such a big weekend and everybody's so committed. I mean, you were talking about big money Mike flying down, and I don't know if I see that as like a huge advantage. Okay. Because I feel like he loves racing, he loves the big days, and what, you want to hop on a potential Derby runner and make what is $1 million race, so make an extra $100K for the weekend. To me, I'm like, from a human standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. But you're right, like, where everybody's committed already in all these big races. So, I mean, Sovereignty is super talented, fastest speed figure from buyer standpoint in here than anybody. Already has his ticket punched to the Derby. So yeah, I mean, he's the one to beat, but I think at 8-5, I want to beat him. And I don't think that you can't beat him in this race. I don't think he's a lock. So that's why I landed on Disruptor and Tappan Street over him.
All right. Well, there is Alexa's pick, Disruptor and Tappan Street, and I'm going with Madacat Road. Now, last but not least, the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks, another 100-point Kentucky Oaks prep, a mile and a 16th on the dirt for 3-year-old fillies. Last year's winner was Power Squeeze for trainer Jorge Delgado with Daniel Centeno aboard. She went on to run 6th in last year's Kentucky Oaks. Since 1991, there has been just one horse to even come out of the Gulfstream Park Oaks before going on to win the Kentucky Oaks, and that being Dispute in 1993. Who did win both the Gulfstream Park Oaks and Kentucky Oaks. Short field of 7 here. 40% is Safi. Kind of interesting, but
he's got 3 in here.
3 is 7, but who'd you end up landing on?
So I just refreshed my PPs because I handicapped this earlier this week when the odds weren't out, and now they're out. So I'm looking, and I was originally on 5G, and I mean, I still like 5G, the number 4 currently. I think my leaderboard was old when I wrote this, but was 8th on the leaderboard with 25 points. Winner of a stakes in January at Gulfstream, 2nd in the Honeybee at Oaklawn. So I think should be the pace setter in here and could wire the field. We'll have some competition for the lead from the outside with the number 7, Anna's Promise, but 5G's faced tougher than Anna has. So I like that and gave her the edge. But now I'm seeing 8-5 odds, which isn't going to take me off of her, but it is going to make me look a lot more at the 6, who was my second selection.
Oh, very good. I looked up quite a bit at that horse. Okay.
Yeah. I think so. This horse is 5-1 morning line. Only has been out 1 time, and this is like a really ambitious step up for this filly. But like that last race was 6.5 furlongs. So this is both a class step and a distance step because this is a mile and 16th. But trainer Shane McGahee does really well stretching them out. And the performance in that race was just really good. And so
Dylan Davis first time riding as well is quite high win percentage on that. I forget what it is, but another angle for you.
Okay. Yeah, so I like Cassier, and I'm happy with the 5-1 odds there in this short field. I love seeing a horse who, I mean, obviously this is for the Oaks, so none of these horses have run a bajillion times, but is the most inexperienced horse in the field who came out with like a really strong first out performance. So for me, sometimes they're either going to improve or not off of that. And a lot of times I think it improves. So Cassier adds some value to the race.
Okay. I love it. All right. Well, I'm not going to have anything too exciting. Unfortunately, the 3, the Queen's MD.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty much a single for me if you're going to play exotics and pick 3s, pick 4s.
Okay. You love her.
Yo, yeah. Safi is entering 3 to lose, and Irad's obviously on the best of the bunch. I feel like I've seen this filly run for years now, but she just has a lot of stakes races under her belt from her 2-year-old campaign.
Yeah.
I feel like I started way back early last summer, but anyway, winner of the Schulerville Stakes Saratoga last July, won the Grade 3 Adirondack by 9 lengths. Saratoga in August, and a tough race. The Grade 1 Spinaway running 5th to probably the Oaks favorite Immersive as she was running, and Quiet Side as well. And then goes for a route for the first time in the Tempted Stakes at BAQ, runs 3rd, goes back to a sprint, runs 3rd in the Grade 3 Forward Gal Stakes at Gulfstream in February, and then finally finds her stride last time out, winning the Grade 2 Devona Dale, drawing clear by 2 3/4 lengths with Irad Ortiz Jr. board, earning an 85 Equibase speed figure. I don't think this half-length stretch out will be a huge deal, especially if she's able to draw off at that mile distance. Yes, I think 5G is faster on paper, but Safi isn't putting 3 in for nothing. That's just seems like a lock to me. I could be completely wrong, but I honestly, for your sake, I want your 6 to win. Shug McGahee, Dylan Davis, that'd be cool. But
great, that'd be fire. I mean, I can't dig on the Queen's MG. Is a great horse.
I mean, I'm picking an 8 to 5. Dig in on me, but what am I to do in a 7-horse?
Not groundbreaking stuff here. Yeah, I mean, she could totally win. She's super talented. Obviously she had that fire 2-year-old year, and
then she kind of cooled off. She had a couple stakes.
Kind of. I mean, she wasn't really. I guess the Spinaway, she
just that from August on. Yeah. 5th, 3rd, 3rd. Just that but it's not crazy. She's been increasing Equibase speed figures all the way since the Spinaway, 64, 77, 78, and then 85. So she's improving. Likes Gulfstream, 1 for 2, 100% in the money. Irad, I mean, were you watching Gulfstream yesterday? He had 4 consecutive wins. Dude's just on a different level down there.
Champ. So, I mean, there's nothing you can say bad about her, really, other than her odds.
Yeah, exactly. So. Hard to make money, so I think for me that would be a single to try to save money to go deep in other races.
I do think it'll be a contentious race, though. I don't think
it'll be a walk-off. 5G will be there. I
really don't think
for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know who's on 5G now that Gaffleon's gone?
I don't.
Yeah, they're not even showing it. The only reason I knew about Mike Smith was David Grenning from Twitter. So he posted it last night. But
it's always on it.
Anyway, that is all the time we have. Alexa, thank you so much for being on. And everyone out there, good luck in your wagers this weekend. If you're a University of Kentucky fan, go Cats tomorrow night. And we'll see you next week.